Hi, so I'm going to be informing you guys on why to get the COVID-19 vaccine. As I have here, the pandemic had started all because of a wet market in China. A wet market is pretty much a place where they sell live and dead animals. Now we're going to be explaining on why it is important to get the coronavirus and the different types that you can get. So here I have what is the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. COVID-19 is pretty much a disease that is caused by SARS-CoV-2. It was first identified in Wuhan, China in December of 2019. The coronavirus is pretty much like a cold. You just get like a stuffy nose, your pretty much body aches, sometimes a fever, coughing, anything like that. The main symptoms of the coronavirus are fever, cough, shortness of breath, trouble breathing, fatigue, chills, body aches, sore throat, congestion. The main one is loss of smell and taste. Also nausea and diarrhea. The beginning of March of 2020, the World Health Organization identified this as a CoV-2, also known as the coronavirus. So here I have the different types of coronaviruses that we can get. There are 7 strains of the coronavirus, but there are 3 main ones. MERS-CoV-2 is a beta coronavirus that causes Middle East respiratory syndrome. The second one is SARS-CoV. This is a beta coronavirus that causes severe acute respiratory syndrome. And the third one is SARS-CoV-2, a novel coronavirus that causes coronavirus disease 2019, also known as the coronavirus. The 4 least common coronaviruses to get is human coronavirus 22.9E alpha coronavirus, human NL63 alpha coronavirus, human OC43 beta coronavirus, and also human HKU1 beta coronavirus. Each part of the coronaviruses you can get, they are slightly different, but they're pretty much, they all do the same thing. You get the body aches, the fevers, the loss of smell, taste, all of that. If people start to get vaccines, we would be able to pretty much do everything, and like everything would go back to normal. The types of COVID vaccines. There are 3 vaccines that people can choose from. The first vaccine that came out is the Pfizer BioNTech. The clinical trials on this vaccine is said to be 95% effective against the coronavirus. This is the only vaccine that is available to 16 years and older. The second vaccine that came out is the Moderna. During trials, this vaccine is said to be 94% effective, and it is able and pretty much available for anyone 18 years and older. The last vaccine that has came out is the Johnson & Johnson. During the clinical trials of Johnson & Johnson, it's only 66% effective for fighting off the virus. In an article that I read, Is There Any Place Abroad Where I Can Travel Now, by authors Barbara Peterson and Deborah Dunn, explains that as of January 26th, international travels face other obstacles. Airline passengers flying into the U.S., including U.S. citizens, must present a negative COVID-19 test within 3 days of their departure. From a foreign country, or proof of recovery from the coronavirus. Pretty much you cannot go overseas or into an airport pretty much without your vaccine. It's going to be more and more common as the time goes on. The virus is pretty much so contagious that it will just continue to spread if we do not get the vaccine. So this is why we should get the vaccine. There are so many reasons to why, but here's just a few. Getting the virus can cause major sickness or even death. Over 3 million people have died from just this virus. The spread of the virus is just continuously growing due to people not receiving the vaccine. The more vaccinated people are getting, the less of the chance the virus will continue to spread. Receiving the vaccine reduces your risk of infection, so the antibodies that develop in your immunity, they pretty much will kind of back off, and it's a less chance of you getting the virus. Pretty much what happens when you get COVID-19 is if you test positive or come in contact with someone who tested positive or might be positive, even if you have symptoms, you need to quarantine for 14 days after your first symptom. Even if you do not have symptoms and you might have came in contact, you still have to pretty much isolate. Not only do you have symptoms during COVID, there are also lingering symptoms that are referred to long COVID. Long COVID includes fatigue, shortness of breath, fog brain, sleep disorders, fevers, gastro symptoms, anxiety, and depression. The 4 most common symptoms are loss of smell, taste, shortness of breath, and fatigue. These symptoms can last months, and over time they can just keep getting worse. Without the vaccine, the growing of the coronavirus is just going to continue cycling and just keep going over and over. This means that there will be more deaths, quarantining, people out of work, not being able to see family members. The lasting side effects may even last the next couple years. As you can see, receiving the COVID-19 vaccine is extremely important for yourself, but also people around you. I have some pictures here. So this one right here is Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World really doesn't ever close or shut down unless there's major emergencies. So this is Walt Disney World empty, which is like not common. Also here is New York City. New York City does not shut down for anything. So I thought that was so crazy to see the streets completely empty. This right here is I-95. I-95 is so busy around here, and so it's kind of crazy to see pictures of I-95 so empty. This right here is school buses lined up because kids weren't allowed to go to school, and they pretty much stayed at home, and the school bus drivers and the schools, they were all shut down completely. And this last one, it says, due to the coronavirus, we will be closed until further notice. Stores everywhere were shut down due to this crazy virus. So getting the vaccine will be so tremendously important for not only yourself, but like I said before, your family members and the people around you. Not being able to go into work, you're losing out on money, and it's just a whole big thing that's just going to keep on happening if we don't get this virus. We don't get this vaccine for the virus. So these pictures I thought were really interesting. And I just thought they would just kind of be shocking to you because all these places are so busy and they're shut down. Obviously now everything's slowly getting back together, but the mask wearing is still pretty much mandatory. But a new thing that I did hear is that if you have your vaccine, you do not have to wear your mask. So hopefully if you have the vaccine that everything will get better and you won't have to wear your mask. But I hope that everything ends up getting back to normal again. And I think it is extremely important again to get the vaccine. So I hope I convinced you enough to get the vaccine. Definitely do your research on the vaccine because there's 3 of them and you want to do the best one for you and whatever you think that is going to be most helpful. These are my references, and I hope, like I said, I convinced you guys, and I think that I'm going to get mine very shortly. I actually had COVID about a month ago, and it was so crazy, and I definitely think in the next couple months, because you have to wait, I'm definitely getting my vaccine because I do not want to get it again, and I don't want to harm people at my work and friends and family, and especially the people I live with. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope I kind of got some knowledge in your head if you haven't done any research or anything like that. So thank you.